Hey, it's your friend Choice CJ here, and I'm coming to you guys with my Week 1 battle for the GBA D-League Season number 4, and we are going up against OP Jellicent, coach of the Toronto Leaf Storms. Make sure you check him out, and also make sure you check out my team builder for this battle. Should be the most recent video on my channel, and if you did miss it, let me quickly go over the team. I am bringing a bulky Oriolus with defog and bolt beam coverage, bringing a Scarf Darmanitan, a Swords Dance Terrakion, Shukaberry Raikou, a Taunt Pursuit Drapion, and a Recycle Wiccaberry with double status Klefki. And so looking at the team that OP Jellicent has brought, I'm very relieved not to see Leavanny. Having webs up on my side of the field could have been potentially very problematic, just because it does allow his offense to run through mine. Without webs, I think that my offense can pretty easily run through him. Things like Darmanitan, Terrakion, Raikou are all pretty problematic for him. He does not bring Mega Pinsir, which is a big relief for me. It takes a little bit of pressure off of Klefki. It can now deal solely with things like Kyurem and also Hoopa, while also being a safe switch into things like Florges, which is really nice. I do see the Manaphy there, so I have my Mons that can all revenge kill it, which is very good. Lando is still potentially a little scary to me. I do have 5 Mons that are weak to ground on my team, not counting my Shukaberry Raikou. Or I guess that is counting my Shukaberry Raikou is what I meant to say. So if it is Scarf, I have to be very weary of that, because I could very easily get swept by Scarf EQ. And I do have my Latios around to be my ground immunity, so I really need to preserve that. It's extremely important. But yeah, otherwise, in terms of lead matchup, I am thinking that a Latios lead does make sense, just because I think his most likely lead is Landorus. So trying to counter his lead, I think going for a Lati makes sense. So good luck, have fun, OP Jellicent. We're going to click play and hop around into this battle. Oh, there's so many nerves going into this game. I said it in my team builder, I'm just very nerve-sighted, like my good pal Gym Leader Geo. We really want to catch a W in this game and get off to a good start this season. And so Landorus is the lead of choice for my opponent, so just what I thought he might do. If he is Scarf, he'll probably go for a U-turn here. If he's not Scarf, he'll probably hard switch out, and that's exactly what he does. So while it's not confirmed, it is kind of looking like he's Scarf. And that's going to work out for us, because now we can just get off our Mega Evolution, get all of that nice bulk, and fire off an Ice Beam on this Florges, do a little bit of damage to it. And you'll see in just a moment here, this Florges, it's sort of a standard bulky Florges. It seems like it's probably physically defensive based on the amount of damage that this Ice Beam did. So with this Florges in here, my best move is pretty much just to go into Drapion. Because I can threaten it with a Poison Jab, of course, and because without Leavanny here, the pressure that's on Drapion is pretty low. I don't need to have that thing around to taunt or to trap it or do whatever. He does make a smart double into his Landorus. He clicks EQ. I tried to click Pursuit.
Not a great plan.
Expecting him to potentially U-turn. But as you can see, that did not work out for me. He goes straight for the Earthquake. I thought my switching into Mega Latios was too obvious. That he might overpredict, but it did not work out. And he might not even have a U-turn at this point. It's hard for us to know. But I do bring my Latios in now, and I make a double expecting his switch in back into Florges, which is going to work out for us because he does bring the Florges in. And so his obvious play is to go into Manaphy. It's funny, while we were playing, he hit me up on Discord, and he goes, "Can you help me find my switch into this thing?" But it is a Manaphy. And that's exactly what he's going to go into here. Goes into Seal. Shoutouts to Seal. So we go for a U-turn, and it should do like 25% or so, depending upon the Manaphy spread. But it does maybe a little bit less than that, like maybe 20%. So this does suggest that it is a physically defensive, or not physically defensive, but at least a max HP Manaphy. So very important to know. And he does show the leftover. So he's not Wakan Berry, he's not Rindo Berry, he's not anything like that. He's not Salic Berry or whatever. So definitely very nice for us. I just go for a Volt Switch as he brings in the Registeel here. I wasn't too worried about him going into Landorus, because if he did go into Landorus, like I've already learned that he's not Scarf. I didn't mention this at the time, but when I doubled out my Lottie versus the Lando, I did go first, so that means he's definitely not Scarf at this point. So that means I can hit it up with an HP Ice, and I still have my Shukaberry intact. Anyway, I get my Darmanitan in versus this Registeel, and I do go for U-turn as he reveals the counter. And so the Registeel didn't show any item, and so I thought there was a chance he was either Choppleberry or potentially Akaberry. If he was like a Akaberry set, I didn't want to get hit with an EQ or something like that. So that's why I went into Lottie, and was able to take very minimal damage from the counter. And then I double out into my Raikou trying to scout for Teat Wave, and he does reveal that. And so he goes for his rocks, and I'm just going to sit in here with my Raikou and wear this thing down with T-Bolts. It does seem that this thing is fully physically defensive. So T-Bolts is going to do a pretty reasonable amount of damage, like maybe 20-25%. It's going to be enough that we can eventually KO this thing after just a few more turns. He does go for a Seismic Toss, which does 50 damage to us, of course, and the next T-Bolt is finally going to be able to take him out. So we are able to pick up that kill, and I'm pretty sure that evens the score back up at 5-5. He now goes into his Landorus, and I think this is a pretty interesting play. Like, I already know that he's not Scarf. Maybe he's Yachi Berry, and that's why he decides to go into this. But if he is Yachi Berry, he's not going to be able to kill me with an Earthquake, and I can get really tremendous damage off with 2 Hidden Power Ices, like enough to kill. But it turns out that he's not Yachi Berry even, and I do like 90% with HP Ice, and he ends up, I guess, over-predicting and going for U-turn and brings in his Hoopa. I did have Signal Beam on the Raikou for this Hoopa, but the way he brought it in, I thought maybe there was a chance that it was Scarf, and I didn't want to give up my Raikou just yet. And he does go for the Trick Room, so in normal circumstances, this would be really, really spooky. But I specifically gave my my Klefki a negative speed nature with 0 IVs and speeds so that we would underspeed this Hoopa under Trick Room. And you can see it does big, big, big damage to Hoopa. It does like 75% with Play Rough. We are going to go for a second Play Rough and connect pretty well. We took the Side Shock relatively easily, and we were able to take that thing out. Now I'm in a funny position where my Klefki is now faster than everything on his team. And he makes the choice of going into his Landorus and sacking it off. I don't really agree with this. I think if I were him, I might have gone into Manaphy, because at least I don't collect a kill in that case. Like, I guess I understand his thought process. He wants to keep the Manaphy healthy for potentially dealing with my Darm, which is definitely still a problem for him. But he does go into it now, and I'm going to hit that thing up with a Toxic. If this thing is a Tail Glow set, you know, I don't really mind because, as I've mentioned, I have plenty of ways to revenge kill it, whether it's with Terrakion or with Raikou or even Latios. So he goes for Ice Beam, which is an interesting choice. Maybe he was predicting my Lati switch in, and that's why he chose to go for it. I figure now is a good time to go into Latios, actually, because, you know, if he was trying to like predict my switch into Lati going for Ice Beam, I would think maybe this turn he goes for the Water move. That turns out not to be the case. He just goes for Ice Beam again. It turns out that his only coverage are Energy Ball and Ice Beam. He doesn't even have a Water move. So, definitely interesting, but it works out for us. I go for Roost on this turn. I don't think it's necessarily a bad play, but I think my better play would have been going for Defog. Because health on my Lati at this point isn't incredibly useful. Like, I want to be able to have this thing to land a nice big hit on Manaphy if I need. And otherwise, the fact that Lando is gone sort of makes my Lati less crucial, I guess I would say. So getting rid of the rocks would have been a much better play, because that allows my Darmanitan here to come in without taking any residual damage. Instead, I do have to switch in, take 25%. He goes for Moonblast, and I take about 30% from that. So I really only have a few hits left in me now. So the Darmanitan here, you know, when the Manaphy gets weakened enough, Darmanitan can potentially be a win condition, because even if he's Scarf Kyurem, I at least have the potential to speed tie with him. And potentially I can clean the game with just Scarf Flare Blitz. Or, you know, I can go for like Scarf Superpower versus Kyurem, then the floor just comes in, I switch out of Darm and switch back in and go for Flare Blitz, which should 2 a KO pretty easily. As it is, I go for my Flare Blitz. He does bring in his Manaphy. I'm thinking he might be in range of dying to the Flare Blitz, or at least dying to the combination of Flare Blitz plus Toxic. And so I do go for it. He does survive, and he fires off an Ice Beam, and I only have about 15% HP. And Darmanitan is not really that bulky, so we do end up going down. And as you're about to see, with his Leftovers recovery, he is actually going to live on maybe 1 or 2 HP, which is a little bit of a bummer. I guess it's not too huge a deal, because I can just go into my Raikou and revenge kill it anyway. But now my Raikou has to take a, you know, some residual damage from Stealth Rock, which is pretty annoying. So I am just going to go for a Volt Switch here. And what I'm thinking is that if I go into Klefki here, if he wants to go into his Florges, it's no problem. I can very easily Toxic that and wear it down potentially. What I really want is for him to bring in his Kyurem, because if it is Scarf, and it is looking like it's a Scarfer at this point, it wasn't Landorus, it wasn't Hoopa, this kind of has to be the Scarfer. I can hit it up with a T-Wave, and that more or less guarantees that I'm going to be able to clean up the game with Terrakion, because I can outspeed this thing, go for close combat, take it out, and then I can go for my Continental Crush versus Florges and either take it out outright, or put it in range of a move from something else on my team like Raikou, or whatever the last mon is that I have. It's Latios. But hey, he gets paralyzed, and he goes, I paralyze him, he loses his speed, and he just starts going for Iron Head. So it turns out that this is actually a physical Kyurem, which is definitely a neat bring. I guess mostly you think of like special Kyurem, but the physical attack stat on Kyurem is just as big as special attack stat. So definitely nice. But the problem for him is that you know, he's missing out on the Earth Power coverage in this case, and so he goes for Iron Head, which is a neutral hit, and he's just over and over proccing my Wiki Berry, and I'm going for Recycle to make sure that I can maintain a good amount of health. And we are able to eventually two-shot with Play Rough, which is very good. So now we're in a 4v1 situation. His last mon is Florges. He could, I guess, potentially stall me out with things like Wish and Heal Bell if he has them. But honestly, like at this point, I'm very happy to let the timer go down to 0 and take a 4-1 victory. That doesn't really bother me at all. But you know, so, OP Jellicent is, you know, he understands kind of the situation that he's in. He doesn't actually have Heal Bell, so as soon as I land a Toxic, it is going to be pretty much GG. You know, but he doesn't waste any turns here. He just is going to start going for Moonblast over and over. And after these next couple of turns, Florges will go down. And, I mean, I'll tell you right now, it is going to end up being a 4-0 victory for us. So, the wildest thing about this match, like, you know, there are plenty of interesting plays on both sides, some interesting sets. But number one on my list of interesting things from this match is that Klefki got 4 freaking kills. And so, this just, I was totally not expecting this. You know, I was saying in the team preview that my offense was going to run through him, just because obviously he doesn't have very many walls. You know, something like Terrakion breaks through both of his walls, and it outspeeds his entire team, barring a Scarfer. But no, it was Klefki that ended up putting in the work, and all of the guys in the GBA chat were very surprised. You know, just as much as I was that Klefki put in the work. And so I've been talking with my buddy Tom. We're gonna try and make an effort here to make Klefki the new meme for GBA. Now that the best defogger meme is sort of retired. So if you're a big fan of the performance that Klefki put in, do me a favor and give me a hashtag #GetUnlocked down in the comments section below, and show your support for your boy Klefki, aka Good Design. Hopefully this isn't the last time that Klefki puts in work this season. You know, maybe there's some other cheeky sets that I can bring. Don't want to reveal too much. And it just has good defensive synergy with something like Mega Latios. So definitely a nice mon for my team, and a nice victory for us to kick off the GBA D-League season. So do want to give a big shout outs to OP Jellicent for being a good sport and putting up a good fight. It was closer than the score revealed, right? Because if I hadn't been able to get off the T-Wave on that Kyurem, I probably would have lost. I had no resists to Scarf Outrage at that point, and I also had no way to threaten Florges. I didn't have any other status or any way to 2-hit KO it. It really came down to, like, basically giving out my Darm the way I did. That was definitely a poor play on my part. Darmanitan could have been the win condition for me in the late game. So yeah, if he was able to get rid of my Klefki because I had thrown away my Darm, I think he could have pulled it out. But luckily for us, we do end up with a nice W. And that puts us in position to go into our Week 2 game with a nice differential. And we're going to need all of that cushion that we can get, because we are going up against last season's runner-up, HLD Productions, Randy, and his Texas Rangers. So he's got a scary squad featuring Mega Lopunny and Celesteela. And we're going to have to do our best to play around all those threats. Definitely looking forward to it. Hope you guys are too. If you are, definitely ask you guys to drop a like on this video and consider leaving a sub, so that way you can stay up to date on all of the latest D-League action. I also have some other uploads going on at the same time. I'm in the MPL, and we did just have a game versus Aaron2420, and he, of course, is another D-League competitor, so if you're a fan of his, make sure you check out that battle. It was a very good one, very entertaining, so would appreciate it if you guys check that out. So with all of that being said, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you check out the channel for other gaming and Pokemon content. Until the next time, I'll see you guys later.